Okay, everyone can see my screen. So yeah, for the digital product passports, I will be going through the introduction to the DPP, giving you an overview of the definitions, and then the origin and the timeline, historical context, and how the policy development, some information on the policy development, and some key milestones in DPP evolution. And then Green Deal, CAP, and ESPR, again, some regulatory information, and then I will go to the objectives. What are the objectives, as mentioned in the implementation, transparency, circularity, and so on. And then also the stakeholders, what kind of stakeholders are involved in this, manufacturers, regulators, recyclers, and so on. And then what are the product groups that are covered by the DPP? So the current and upcoming product categories that the European Commission is focusing on, what is the prioritization criteria for these products, and then focusing on the requirements for the DPP, types of data required, the granularity, and also have some examples from other projects where they are not the real DPPs, but they have some trials that could be used for testing and so on. So I would also share those QR codes so you could have also access to them. Okay. So I think I have two screens and it doesn't work. Okay, so now introduction to the digital passport. Product passport, the definition is a digital record containing structured collection of data and products life cycle from raw materials to how to recycle and dispose it. And then this is a central element of the European Commission's ESPR, Eco-Design for Sustainable Production Regulation, which is in effect now, which is aimed at enhancing sustainability, circularity, and transparency throughout the product's life cycle. So these are some of the definitions from the ESPR Article 2. So product here means any physical goods that are placed on the market or put into service. And the component means a product intended to be incorporated into the product. The digital product post is a set of data specific to the product that includes the information applicable, dedicated act of adapted pursuant to articles. So this is related to the kind of products that are going to be implemented as part of the ESPR. Regarding the origin and the timeline, I'll be going into details into each of these in the later slides, but it all started in 2019 with the EU Green Deal, and then in the Circular Economy Action Plan in 2020. And then the DPP, the word was mentioned during the ESPR in 2022, and from July 2024, this regulation is in force. And there are certain product groups that are identified as a priority. And the idea here is to have most of many of the product groups will be included into this ESPR to provide a DPP by 2030. Regarding the Green Deal, so it's a European Commission's flagship strategy, mainly focusing on achieving a roadmap for climate neutral European Union by 2050. So this all started here, then which focusing on the economic growth, at the same time focusing on the economic growth, health and well-being, and ensuring social equality. And then in 2020, we have this Circular Economy Action Plan, which is also a core component of the European Green Deal, which was in 2019, aiming at more sustainable economic model by reducing waste, maximizing resource efficiency, and minimizing environmental impacts. So this plan was adopted by the European Commission in March 2020, which outlines European Union's transition to a more circular economy, mainly by promoting the reuse, repair, and the recycling of the materials products. So there are some sectors that were identified during 2020's Circular Economy Action Plan. Mainly the batteries and the textiles were mainly focused around that part, but when the ESPR came into effect, there are a lot of product groups that were included in it. So the ESPR is a regulatory framework which is in effect from July 2024. I would like to just highlight here that the digital product passport was introduced in this ESPR. So this is the key tool that will enhance product sustainability, So under this framework, manufacturers will need to incorporate environmental considerations into product design. So they need to start from product design and also provide all the information facilitated by the DPP in a standardized way. The key objectives, I'm not seeing the other screen, so if there are any questions, please feel free to interrupt me. The key objectives here are supporting the circular economy goals, tracking product life cycles to encourage the reuse, the repair, and the recycling of the products. And of course, through this, they wanted to reduce the waste. This is possible when providing the end of life data to guide responsible disposal or recycling, and also to enhance consumer choice. So if I have more options and more information on the kind of product that I'm going to buy, it will offer me a clear, accessible information. Then it's also useful to enhance the consumer choice. The consumer choice is important because this is something that the European Commission is mostly focusing around, because the consumers, if you have to buy a product and so on, they need to be aware of the information that's existing and also about the product's environmental footprint. Then we have the regulatory compliance. So this is to facilitate, this will also facilitate the regulatory compliance, helping businesses comply with the EU sustainability regulations efficiency. So, and the stakeholders. So as per ESPR document 0.32, there are several stakeholders that have been identified. So to focus on economic operators. So when I say economic operators, they are the manufacturers who manufacture the products, authorized representatives, importers who import from within EU or also from outside EU, and distributors and dealers, and also fulfillment service providers. I'm going into details in the next slides what these different economic operators will be contributing to the DPP and how they are considered as the key stakeholders. And other value chain actors like the customers, professional repairers, operators, refurbishers, remanufacturers, and so on, so on, and so on. And then the commission itself. So the commission will also be part of the key stakeholders. So when they say DPP, the commission is also one of the stakeholders that would like to regulate the product. Any organization on their behalf, also, and so on. So just to highlight here, the economic operators, mainly the manufacturers and importers, dealers, and so on, and the commission itself. In my next slide, this is a slide from one of the policy officers regarding the implementation of the DPP and some guidelines here. So as you can see here, the European Commission is also part of the DPP. So they will provide some central services, the registry and the web portal. So the registry, it manages legally required product data, mostly metadata, and also handles registration and access rights. And then you have the web portal here, which enables users like consumers, recyclers, authorities, etc., to search and access the DPP data. And then we have the economic operators, consumers, recyclers, and market authority. So economic operators, so they register the product into the DPP, stores full DPP content in also the decentralized storage. And then you have the consumers and the recyclers here. Consumers and the recyclers here, they use some kind of data carriers like the QR codes and so on to fetch the data of fetch the DPP of a product. They can also search the DPPs where the portal. And then we have the market authority, which performs decentralized searches for regulatory oversight. And also we have the customs authorities here because this is something. If the products are coming out of Europe, they go through some kind of this customs authorities system. So the idea is also to interface with the DPP registry for compliance and control. So the idea here is like the decentralized storage. So economic operators and DPP service providers like They can host DPP content like the detailed product information and so on in decentralized storages. And the web portal here can perform the decentralized searches to retrieve this content. So the idea, the interaction here is the economic operators enter the metadata into the DPP registry, and the detailed content will come from different sources. I don't know if there are any questions on this one. So this is an ongoing work. This is not something finalized yet. The European Commission is working on this. So the key takeaways from this slide is the European Commission will be involved in the implementation of the DPP through the DPP registry and the web portal. Any questions so far?
Maybe just to link to our first content of training before today. So upon registering a product, to what grade is fairness an issue here, or not at all?
Yeah, this is still an ongoing discussion, so nothing has been finalized. So the idea is to include the fair principles when they are defining how the registry works. That I can confirm.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so let me go to the next slide. So what are the obligations of different economic operators, and how are they going to contribute to the DPP? So for the manufacturers, so they have all the information. So they need to create and update the DPP. They need to provide some QR codes how to access it, and then they may need to make sure that it's accurate, complete, and accessible. Maintain a backup of the DPP, provide technical documentation to authorities, ensure compliance with the eco-design rules. So these are some of the key responsibilities of the economic operators that can be found in the chapter 7 of ESPR. And then we have the authorized representatives. So they act on behalf of non-EU manufacturers. So there are some representatives that have the link between the EU and the non-EU business. So they will be acting on behalf and then try to provide and maintain the documentation. They need to ensure compliance. So the representatives have to be aligned with the compliance and the regulations of the EU. And of course, they have to respond to authority requests if there is some information missing or needs to be added and so on. And then we have the importers, so who ensure the product has the DPP and is compliant, check labeling and documentation, keep copies for verification, cooperate with authorities. And then we have the distributors who should check for the proper labeling, verify product compliance, support enforcement efforts. So yeah, some of them are repeating here, but the idea here is for each of the economic operator identified in the ESPR, they will have to follow certain guidelines. And then we have the fulfillment service providers. So if there is no EU representative as an acting importer, so this role will be assume all the importer level responsibilities. And we have the service providers who can securely store DPP backups, operate independently, request certification if needed in future. And the market surveillance authorities, they have the role to monitor the compliance of the products, access DPP and registry, work with the customs, and use EU databases. And the European Commission itself, so which is responsible for setting up and maintaining the DPP registry and the web portal, they are also working on defining the data formats, access levels, and the standards. So this is a work in progress. There are some standardization groups that are actively participating in defining these, and of course, adopting the delegated acts for implementation. So what are the product groups that should be included in the ESPR? So as of July 2024, there were 10 of these that were included, and that was planned to be prioritized. But there is an update in mid of April last month. The list has been changed. But just for the information, I put here the ones that were predefined in July 2024. They are iron and steel, aluminium, textiles, in particular garments and footwear, furniture, mainly mattresses, tires, detergents, paints, lubricants, chemicals, and energy-related products, and ICT, information and communication technology products. So this was a predefined list in July 2024, but last month there has been some changes here. So the first working plan was adopted on 16th of April 2025. So this is the prioritized list based on the JRC ranking. The first working plan will include 4 final products: textiles and apparel, furniture, tires, and mattresses; 2 intermediate products, iron and steel and aluminium; and then 2 legal acts setting horizontal requirements. These are horizontal to all of these: repairability and recycled content and so on. So this is the indicative timeline for adoption. So these are the products that should have the DPPs by end of these years. The products that are not included in the first working plan. So certain products listed in are excluded. They are the detergents, paints, and lubricants, footwear, chemicals. So these 3 are excluded, but it doesn't mean that they are completely out of the list. But the Commission retains the right to set these requirements outside the working plan at any time. Why are they not included? Detergents, paints, and lubricants, because they think that they have low impact and low improvement potential by the JRC study. So they receive a relatively low support for the public consultation. Footwear, this is now considered distinct from textiles due to different materials, functions, and supply chains, and also has lower impact. Chemicals, rated high in impact and improvement potential by JRC, but the product group is complex and broad. It includes a lot of other materials, chemicals, polymers, and so on. So, but the study to start looking into chemicals will be launched by end of 2025 to clarify scope and focus for possible future regulation. And then electrical switchgears are also not included, but may be regulated depending on the developments later. Okay, then requirements for the DPP. So what kind of the requirements that needs to be followed, or what are the essential requirements here? So unique product identifier. So this is something that needs to be connected via data carrier, like the QR code and so on, and should have a persistent unique identifier. This will be generated by the European Commission in the registry. And then you have the physical presence. So yeah, the data carrier must be physically present. They should be stick to the product itself and the packaging or the documentation as defined in the delegated act. Standard compliance. So this is the data carrier identifier must comply with listed standards or equivalent standards until harmonized standards are officially published. So this is something also ongoing now. And then we have the open and interoperable data. All passport data must be open standards. And again, here the FAIR also could come into picture here, how they can be readable, structured, searchable, and transferable via an open interoperable network. Data privacy, yeah, this is the top concern from almost everyone. So the idea here is not to include any personal customer data or explicitly without explicit consent. So this also taken into force the GDPR. So this is also taken into consideration when we are defining the requirements for the DPP. Here, there is also concern related to mainly for the industries, as I mentioned earlier. The industry is also concerned that should we provide the data related to the financial information? The answer is no, but you need to provide the information of the suppliers. Okay, here the idea is not to give away the competition, but to provide information that could have impact on consumers and so on. So the idea is not to provide any formulas or not to provide any confidential or IPR related information in the DPP. Then you have the product reference level. So the data must correspond to the product model, batch, and item, specified in the delegated act. Controlled access. So the password data must follow the requirements of Article 11 with specific access rights defined by the product group in the relevant act. So before I jump into, I just wanted to know if there are any questions here. Or am I going too fast? Or it's all clear or not clear? Okay, so then the key data elements in the DPP. So what are the data elements that should be here? So product identification information, as I mentioned here. So here it should be like an Unicode for each product or product model. It clearly identifies the product and its product name, its version or model. And also has some information related to the manufacturer, like the name, contact information, address of the information, where it was produced, how it was not how, but where it was produced, was child labor being used, and so on. And then you have the material composition. So this is a material breakdown detailing information about the materials used in the product, the type, quantity, possibly their origin here, and the recycled content. If there is any recycled content being used, what is the percentage, and so on. And then also the toxic substances and hazardous materials, any hazardous substances used in the product, including compliance with the restrictions. We have these databases, REACH, ECA, ROHS, and so on. So these kind of information will also be included in the material composition. And then we have the environmental impact information. This information on the energy consumption, for example, especially for products that use electricity or other forms of energy during the use. Emissions and waste, data on the environmental impact, CO2 emissions that could happen during the manufacturing use, or even sometimes even during disposable. And of course, the end of life information, details on how to dispose or recycle the product and the potential for material recovery. And then the product lifespan and durability. What is the expected lifespan, information about it, information about the product's design lifespan, repairability, the kind of information that will ease the repair, including details about replacing certain parts, tools needed for the repair, and how to upgrade it. So if applicable, some of the products can be upgraded with minor repairs and so on. So the data related to it on the possibility of upgrading the product to extend its life cycle should also be included in the DPP. And then you have the repair and maintenance information. Some of the information is overlapping with other ones, but here the idea is also to provide instructions. So detailed instructions. When I say instructions, it's a detailed instructions on how to repair the product, including part numbers, tools, the suppliers that will provide the service, and so on. What kind of spare parts are available, and the expected availability period, if the information related to the suppliers is also included in this. And digital and physical recycling information. So the guidelines on how the product or its components should be recycled or disposed at the end of its life cycle, connection points, what are the locations or systems where the product can be returned for recycling, and so on. And then logistics and supply chain information. I think during the Menti, I see a lot of partners are interested to know the supply chain information. Yes, definitely, this information will be included in the DPP. To start with, to improve the supply chain transparency. So information on the product supply chain, where the materials are sourced, ensuring also the ethical and sustainable sourcing, product origins. This is also included in the material composition, but more details are also provided here. The origin of materials and components used in manufacturing, linking them to a supplier. And then you have the product certifications and compliances. So, okay, the manufacturers or the distributors can provide the information, but it's all very important that the related certifications and compliance certifications needs to be included. So, for example, in terms of the energy, we have this Energy Star, EU, Collabel, and other sustainable related certifications. If they are certified, they also need to provide this information, and this should be publicly available to everyone that access the DPP. Compliance with regulation, yes, information on the products compliance with various EU regulations, mainly the ESPR, and this would include all the information that is aligned, that should be aligned with the ESPR regulation. Product warranty and service information. So the warranty terms related to the product, including duration and the terms, and then product use and performance data. So information on the performance of the product over time, mainly the energy efficiency or the operational lifespan should also be included here. So this is a small list of data elements that are interpreted from the ESPR. But when more product groups are added, these are also expected to be updated. Okay, I'm almost at the last slide, but I'm open for any questions now. Here I have some examples. So these are not the real DPPs, but these are some of the companies within Europe that are developing DPPs for organizations. So they have these trial versions where you can have access. All of them are focusing on the battery because that's the one that's mostly advanced. So if you can access these, I can show you briefly here on my screen. The first one. So as you can see, this is a staging server that is used just for the trial. So you have a battery, you have an image here, and basic information here. And then you go to the general information. So you have the information about the battery itself, and some information about the CO2, if there is a child labor being used, or the human rights, some basic data about the manufacturers, some technical data here. I hope it's okay. And then you have the technical data. And then you go to more information about the supply chain. So you have information about third-party chain appliances, and there are some documentations attached to some of the information that's relevant. And then here you have the information about the materials and compositions, what kind of materials are being used, what is the percentage, and more details are here. And also information related to the hazardous substances that's being used in the battery, and the impact of substances of the environment and human health and safety are also included here. And related to the circularity, so there is some information related to the circularity and performance and durability. So this is just an example, and this information is accessed by different roles and responsibilities. So if you're a consumer, probably you will have most of this information, but there are information that's missing for a regulator and so on. So each role in the DPP will have a different access, because I don't think the regulatory information sometimes may be too useful for a consumer. So the idea here is to focus on, based on the role that this the DPP will be accessed by. So going back here.
Asif, how many roles are anticipated? So regulatory, user, something else?
Yeah, I mean, if I have to put this in 4, but this is not exactly the number, but it's open for interpretation. So if I have to start with, so manufacturer, regulator, recycler, and consumer. These are the main 4 that are the main contributors or users of the DPP. But again, there are distributors, importers, exporters, and so on. They are going to play a role that is somehow overlapping with these 4 roles. So it also depends on the product's life cycle, so supply chain cycle. So if there are more partners, and also the product complexity. But I would say, like, if these four main users are considered, I think we will have enough information to be included in the DPP.
All right, then I may close this training session. Thanks a lot, Asif, Vanessa, everybody, also Beatrice and Mathis, who were involved in the interactive parts.